Greetings there, ladies and gentlemen. Hardy J here once again with something a little different this time. We're doing, and I say we because I have a guest, but we'll get to that in a moment. We are doing the Game Awards trailer reaction thingamabob. I guess. I guess that's what it's called because, names. Names are something you just think of. Anyway, I like to pleasantly, hopefully he's on this side. I don't know if he's on this side or this side, but hopefully he's on this side. I like to pleasantly introduce my good friend from OtakuOps, JC.
Yo guys, how's it going? OtakuOps here. So I'm happy to do this video today. Like my friend said, we're gonna do a kind of autopsy of the Game Awards 2021. It's important to mention the year. Before we actually get going, I have a question for you. And the question
Sure.
is basically, people talk a lot about video games, and that's fine.
Mm,
But the official definition of video game, according to Wikipedia anyway, is a game played
yeah.
by electronically manipulating images produced by a computer program on a monitor or other display. That's a lot of words. Um, Basically, in a way, let's think about something easy like Pong. And,
Yeah.
that's basically just a ball and two bars, and, you can move the bars, and that's interactive. It's somewhat fun, but I don't know. It is a video game, yes.
Mm,
But when we talk about real video games, I think I expect much more personally from that. I expect something like Life is Strange or, Mass Effect. So,
oh, it's definitely got to have a story. Visuals, again, depending on the era, it's got to have some sort of visuals to indicate, what you're doing. That's the thing. You got to have some feedback. Some feedback. It's like if you don't get that feedback, you're kind of like, what am I doing? Where am I? Like, what is this? It kind of like, yeah, you can put your imagination into it, but the thing is, it's still got to be something that you can be know what you're doing, basically, and definitely sound, music, and what makes up an actual video game. You get a little bit of challenge. A good escalate of challenge, not like a giant spike in either way, but something like that.
yeah, we're kind of a bit privileged in a way that, we went through the entire, well, not the entire, but a good chunk of the history of video games, really. And, obviously, like starting from the Atari and even probably earlier than that, we can see the whole evolution. Like, for example, these days, music composition for video games is a real big business. And or you got your orchestra going and you got your various instruments going, and it is quite breathtaking, really. um
Mm,
for you
I would agree.
for you personally, what is kind of the biggest transformation of video games, let's say, from before to now?
Like we're talking like what 1980, 90 to now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, definitely visuals have improved, but that's usually in every generation, except for like the last couple. It's been very minor, but you got your big jumps from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, or 8-bit to 16 to 32-bit to 64-bit, and then after that they kind of just drop the bits and be like, oh, we're going into polygons now, into 3D. So there's obviously the jump in quality, and then obviously music too and sounds, because you get the synthesized, very synthesized stuff from the 8-bit and 16-bit, and then in getting into like the PlayStation era, or what is that? Generations are escaping me right now, but anyway, getting into that genre of getting into early 3D, we get into a little bit more of real music, and you have real instruments playing real music and all that, but you still had like this the synthesized stuff, but more channels to it, so you get more clarity sound, you get more of what you realize what it needs to be. And then on top of that, what I definitely look for into a game is narrative. You know, the story. If the story doesn't grab you right away, or if there's got to be a hook, obviously, at the beginning. If the hook isn't there, or well established, it kind of falls flat. And if the story comes about later on, I'm not really. I'm like keying in a few games there where it's kind of boring at the beginning, but it's like, oh, it does get better. Well, it does, but if that hook isn't there at the beginning, it's really hard to get over that hump. But you want to give a good clear story, and then maybe throw a couple twists and turns along the way, and then you can keep it basic, but you got to have something to engage the audience, and that's pretty much what it is. That's what I definitely look for.
So, just a quick update for the viewers. Personally, for me, my year was a bit tough. There was a lot of stuff that happened. I was planning to actually start my gaming channel in pretty much January 2021, and the reality of the life was just such that I wasn't able to do any of that, and I only started in December. So please check out my channel. I did post some videos. Right now I'm doing mostly retro stuff, like really retro stuff.
Oh yeah, PC retro stuff. I have not seen a lot of this stuff, so definitely check him out if you're into like what's it, 90s PC stuff?
90s, yeah, yeah.
Like that I don't see a lot of, so definitely check him out.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like there were some videos, for example, like I did L'Empereur, which is by Koei. There are videos of it out there, but it's basically kind of just footage of the game with no voice and nothing. So I thought, hey, I'm gonna do some footage, but I'm gonna also tell people how to play the game because some people want to play the game, but they don't know like what I'm doing, what I'm looking at. So I thought, hey, that's gonna be good kind of instructional videos. And the last one I finished was King's Bounty from 1990. So it's like over 30 years ago already. Crazy to think about that. And how about yourself? What was your latest project?
My latest project is well, I'm continuing to do the ending reactions to whatever game I finish currently right now. And the ones that are still finished but not uploaded yet are the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters. 4 and 5, I have done ending reactions, but I have played 1 to 5. Pretty damn good, I have to say. Like, I think Square really kind of knocked it out of the park with the Pixel Remasters because they look really good. The thing that again in I get into my videos that eventually were is that I really wish they had the option of the original soundtrack because they have another arranged soundtrack for the games among many out there right now. But other than that, pretty solid titles, and that's what's going to be coming up on my channel eventually in the time. Other than that, I'm getting still through my gameplay series of Persona 3, which is just strictly gameplay. But other than that, I'm really considering getting into the next Let's Play of Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster because I had so much fun playing that, and it sent me down so much nostalgic lane. So I'm like, why not? So I'm really thinking about doing that, and I just need to get up, write some notes, and basically start it.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I know that some people like to write scenarios and stuff, scripts, notes, etc. But I find that it's kind of, I don't know, it takes time, and I don't have time for it. So usually when people watch me, it's you have to understand that I'm not doing like two takes. It's that first take, and it has to be good. It has to be perfect, and it's a lot of pressure. A lot of people don't understand it, I think, but it is not easy. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the Game Awards 2021. And before we actually watch the trailers, we're not going to do all of them, by the way. We're going to do most of them, but not all. And before we jump into them, though, what is your kind of overall opinion of them? In my opinion is it was kind of meh.
The Game Awards in general, I have to say, is was a big man. I actually saw I saw it live, and had my daughter. We were sitting on the couch, basically watching the Game Awards, and she left like halfway through it. I'm like, I wouldn't blame her because a lot of it was just like it was the perfect word was like kind of meh. And the big thing is that it is a reward. It is called a award show, and the award part of it was just kind of glossed over a lot. And it was like it basically could be called the world premiere show, basically, because it's all about those big world premieres. And I'm like, okay. Like in the past, some of them really stark and like they had some really good bangers out there. This year, not so much. Like a few, and I say only a select few were like kind of cool, but nothing really be like, oh my god, I like that was amazing. No, nothing like that.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, like, obviously, usually during the year, there's two big game things going on, the E3 and the Game Awards. But for me, the E3 is the main one. That's the one I'm excited about. Although this year, I have to say, it was also pretty weak. I don't know, maybe it was just not the right time. Maybe some years are bad years for games, it's just like that. It's So anyway, let's jump into it, and the first one is gonna be Alan Wake 2.
We all come to a story with hopes and expectations, looking for an answer. Sometimes it would be better to live with that hope, without ever finding the story. This is not the story you want it to be. This story will eat you alive. This story is a monster. And monsters wear many faces.
Okay, yeah, so Alan Wake 2. I'm actually pretty excited about this one because I actually played all of them so far. I don't remember what the weird second one was called. I think it was the American Nightmare, and I really didn't like that one. But Alan Wake 1 though, really cool game. Really, smart use of lighting, and that, you have to use light. It reminds me of another game which I played, but I don't remember the name of it. It was an old, I think, PlayStation game about a bunch of students going around the campus at night. I think it was called Obscure, actually. And
Was that for the PS1? I'm pretty
could
some
be,
probably something. Yeah.
could be, yeah. And it was basically kind of the similar idea. You find these basically like a flashlights, right? And you basically attach it to your gun. And before you kill the enemies, you first have to remove the darkness from them. Then they become vulnerable to your gun. So anyway, Alan Wake is a bit like that. Um, yeah, very interesting thing. So I'm actually looking forward to what they do with it. I know you haven't played it yet, right?
No, I have not played it. No, I have it, but I have not played it.
What do you think about the trailer?
The trailer looks definitely the vibe is there, and from what I hear is that the original one was more of a psychological adventure, while this one is more getting into the survival aspect of it. So it went from basically, from what I'm thinking, it went from like Silent Hill 2 to Silent Hill 3, basically. So, because there's not really a lot of survivability in number two, and then three, it's all about kind of gunning down a lot of things. So it's more of the survival aspect. So that's what I kind of feel. It definitely's got the vibe. So, and Alan Wake's always been on my radar to play eventually. That's why I got the game on one of those infinite Steam sales that you got dirt cheap stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll get it. So yeah, definitely that. Other than that, my only experience from Alan Wake is playing Control because there was a DLC in Control about with Alan Wake, and they had something a lot to do with a motel, and you will go in the motel multiple times, and the lighting was like phenomenal in Control during those parts. So like it's all about it is about atmosphere. Like they really got to expel like get that atmosphere up and running because if you're playing a horror game and you get really taken out of that atmosphere, it just doesn't it falls flat. So if you're in that atmosphere and you got the mood lighting going, it definitely enhances the experience.
I do recommend it since I played it. Definitely get it. And I just want to, since we're on the topic, I just want to plug my book very quickly. Please get it on Amazon. Things like Silent Hill and Alan Wake actually inspired this book a lot. There are obviously the whole atmospherics and the whole mood is very much reflected in my writing as well. So check it out. It's on sale on Amazon. It's a good read. All right, let's move on to the next one.
To risk your own life for what you believe is your sacrifice to make. To lead others to death brings a different kind of burden. One that Senua would have to learn to bear.
Death is coming.
Can you smell their fear? Look at the bones. Look at the bones. That's going to be you. That's going to be everyone.
To see you. Nay, stay down.
Those whose eyes are clouded by fear are besieged by the ghosts that haunt them. Senua saw that to win the war we must break this siege. Break it with an unshakable truth. Break it with an impossible feat.
The oil, then the fire.
Get ready. Now's the moment. Get ready. First the oil, then the fire. Yes, yes. Now, go! Yes!
So Hellblade 2. I looked at this. It's good that they showed gameplay first of all, because last year, I think it was last year at the Game Awards, they only showed like the cinematic trailer. Obviously, looks amazing, but you want to see gameplay, which is really glad they showed gameplay this year. So that's also a plus, because if you show a cinematic trailer, that's one thing, but if you show gameplay with it, you can kind of see, oh, this is the game, instead of, oh, this is the idea of the game. So it's good to see that. It looks very different from the first one, because I actually played the first one, and it's, if anything, it's like a psychological puzzle game in the first one. There's not a lot of action in it. And the second one seems a lot more action, and visually, I have to say, it looks bloody amazing. Like, I think the first one won a lot of awards about motion capture and so forth. Like, the studio behind it, I think the actual person who played Senua was one of the actual programmers that actually did the game. Like, they actually just used themselves as mocap. So that is definitely shows like the production team is very small and they don't have probably a lot of money, but they do have the technology behind them. So, and that's the thing. So if you don't always have like the money to do stuff to like hire these big name actors and so forth, use it yourself, because if you're doing mocap, as long as you're good, then you're good. That's the thing. So it's good to see a small studios like this one bringing out good quality product like Hellblade, and I'm really interested to see where this goes. I know I said more of like the production stuff and not about the game itself. The game itself looks very action heavy compared to the first one, and hopefully the story follows like the first. The first one is just it'll mess your head up, definitely. So hopefully there's a lot of that psychological stuff in the game also, other than just like, oh, we need to go and kill things. So hopefully it's more than that. So that's what I'm hoping for it. So
Let me jump in there. I haven't played it yet. It's on my list on Steam, on the wish list, but I don't even own it yet. From what I saw, the comments are very good. It has 91% approval rating. From what I understand, there are two versions of it. There's one version which you can just play on your computer, and there's another version which is the VR version. Now, which one did you play? Did you play both of them?
I played just the regular one. I didn't play the VR one because my God, me and VR don't really mix too well. Like the experience in VR, I've only played Resident Evil 7 in VR, and that got me nauseous after a while. I can't play more than like an hour of it. So, other than that, maybe. But the thing is, again, there's maybe getting into the atmosphere of VR would be good in the first one. And I think I do have, because I think it is a free extension to the first one, because I think I do have it. But obviously, computer wise, I don't have an Oculus or whatever else they have. I can't remember what else, but maybe something to look into. But other than that, playing the actual real game is still, like I said, stunning to look at, and just to get kind of immersed into that atmosphere and all that. So it's definitely a good one to go if you want to rack your brain and be kind of terrified at the atmosphere. So definitely one of those things.
Yeah, for me, like this particular trailer, I don't know, it reminded me of Attack on Titan because there is this big kind of like humanoid looking creature like attacking the main character, and they're throwing these kind of like spears at it, and it just really reminded me of Attack on Titan. But yeah, let's not go there. Anyway, I think I'm not sure if I'll check it out. I might. It depends on how good the first one is. I'm interested to check out the first one. What about you? Are you interested in this one?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm definitely want to see kind of the more of the world building, because there wasn't too much. There's a little bit of world building in the first one, but there's not too much. But more or less, like, you didn't see giants basically go around or anything like that. It's more of just like, oh well, she's going through her own personal journey basically in the first one, and it's more of internal world building instead of external world building, which I'm interested to see that more external one, because we've already been through her external being. We want to see more of the external of like, oh, this world that has giants in it, like where did the giants come from type thing. So I'm very interested to kind of see where it goes.
Okay, yeah. So Star Wars Eclipse. Obviously, it's a cinematic trailer. There's no gameplay, so it's hard to judge. When it comes to Star Wars games, there's a lot of Star Wars games out there, and I know that some people are really kind of obsessed about it. I have one friend in Japan, for example, who's absolutely a maniac about everything Star Wars. He like watches and rewatches Star Wars things all the time, and that's
Not the only one. Not the only one.
and this is personally like I can't understand it. Even the things that I really like and enjoy, um, I even struggle to watch them twice sometimes. But anyway, that's for another day. So yeah, Star Wars games. There's a lot of Star Wars games out there. There were games even like for the Super Nintendo. There was the Star Wars Lego games, which I played one of them actually, and you know the Lego games. Let's be honest, they're all kind of the same. Okay, so
If you're looking for depth, you're not looking at that. It's mainly for kids. That's the thing. That's why they're made. And I can see that. But if you're looking for depth, don't play the Lego games. You're not going to get any like other than basically what the actual films are based on and loosely based on and all that. So, don't play them. And if you're thinking depths of like, oh, I want a real Star Wars game, well, don't play Lego ones.
yeah, and like with Star Wars, what happens, right? It's kind of like Lord of the Rings. Look, I like Lord of the Rings. I really enjoy the trilogy. I don't like The Hobbit though. I think that was just a train wreck on its own. But the original trilogy is very solid. Having said that, it seems to me that they kind of overpushed it. It's kind of like Christmas music, you know? Like every year you hear Mariah Carey again and again and again. And you're just going insane after a while. You can't hear it, you can't take it anymore. And I feel like with Star Wars, it's kind of the same thing. They're basically milking the franchise as much as possible. Hey, let's have the Mandalorian. Hey, let's have like this weird thing about Han Solo. Let's have this other thing about Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it seems to me that it's just stop already. It's enough. I don't know. That's my opinion. What do you think?
Star Wars in general, or
Well,
yeah, I
yeah.
think definitely they're milking stuff. Definitely. Well, the thing is, it's obviously Disney wants to, milk their franchises right now. So obviously they have their assets and they want to uh, be like, hey, guess what? We can. They're basically flexing right now. It's like, oh, we're owning Marvel and Star Wars now. So let's the people want, because everyone's hankering from the original trilogy to the prequel trilogy and all that. They're like, oh man, God, can we get more Star Wars, more Star Wars? And now we're getting that Star Wars, and everyone's kind of like, yay, another Star Wars thing. Ooh, so sometimes don't don't complain about not having stuff because you might get it and you're like, oh, yay, we'll get another one. Cool. Like I have to say, like one of my favorite characters in Star Wars is Boba Fett. They're coming out with a series, like, I don't know, soon. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to see that because, you kind of want to kind of have your own thing of that. It's like, oh, he's in the original one. He's a cool ass guy. He gets killed very easily, but nevertheless. And I don't know, it's like it's one of those things. And for games, it's how hit and miss. The old ones on the NES and Super Nintendo, they range from good to super hard, and then the one I remember playing a lot is Shadow of the Empire on the Nintendo 64, and that ranged from like, oh, easy to, oh, I'm getting my ass handed to me all the time. So there's that, and then the newer ones, Battlefront, fantastic, like old school Battlefront, superb. New Battlefront, not so much. Oh my goodness, and it's like there's so much like that. So here is that Quantic Dream doesn't do action games; they only do narrative games. Any kind of like actiony type thing is like, oh, QTEs running down the halls. You need to press the right button or the left button to screw up or proceed type of thing. So I'm interested to see if they actually add any action to it, or is it just going to be strictly narrative type of things like they did in like Detroit. Beyond, oh god, I hope they don't do Beyond Two Souls. Oh my god. um or Heavy Rain or something like that type of thing. So I hope it's more Detroit than anything previous, because Detroit was like decent at least. So it's kind of interesting to see how they actually will bring out the Star Wars thing in this. So I'm optimistic but scared at the same time.
I actually really love Detroit. I think like if I had to do a kind of ranking of my top games, like definitely Mass Effect is up there, Life is Strange is up there, and probably Detroit, because Detroit actually maybe I actually played the one from Epic Store, and that one has a few bugs on the PC version, unfortunately. But the story is very good, and the story is very like current.
It's very on the nose. I have to like it
Yeah.
really like, but that's that's David Cage and his like, storytelling, which is a topic amongst itself. But the way it's executed is like it could be a little bit better here and there, but it's overall like the overall package is a very decent. It's very decent and very good.
But there would be no victor. And so we inhabit a fractured world, awaiting the arrival of the Elden Lord. Unless, of course, thou shouldst take the crown.
Game of Thrones, not really interested. Dark Souls, not really interested. Two things, I'm not really interested. So again, might be visually astounding. Don't really care for it. Move on.
Company command! This is first platoon! We've lost the square! We can't hold it!
Warhammer games, oh boy. Again, it's like Star Wars. There's a lot of them out there. And I actually have the Total War Warhammer 2. I bought it on sale on Steam, and I still haven't touched it. And I also heard that the third one is coming out very soon. So that's the problem with Steam. It's like you get something on sale, and then it just stays on forever. And then the next one comes out, and it's like, oh.
This one is like literally a hack and slash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the first one, which I didn't play, but it was obviously, I really did want to. It was on the PS3, and I was like, oh, good. Like Warhammer and me don't really mix because I had a friend back in high school who was like Warhammer crazy, and he's like forcefully wanted me to get into Warhammer, and I'm like, no. And he kept on pushing it, and so I have a real bad taste for Warhammer in my mouth. But this one really looked interesting because of the hack and slash part of it, and it's literally just going through a stage, third person hack and slash, like a Devil May Cry type feel, where you just go through and you just like murder everything in your way and this type of thing. So it's nothing like the old school, like even the RTS ones of the old ones, the Dawn of War, the old Dawn of Wars, like the first one, and then the 4 expansion packs of it or something. So it's very different from that. It's like literally third person hack and slash.
Hi, I'm Thomas Anderson. Like many of you, I work with computers. But computers are also mirrors, reflecting back who and what we are and the choices we make, the worlds we build. You still got it.
Like riding a bike, they say.
There was one Matrix game, I think, called Enter the Matrix, which was released in the early 2000s, and it was, I think, for the PlayStation, I think, PlayStation 2 maybe.
Two.
And it was also on PC.
PS2.
Also on PC as well. But in my view, it was like terrible. I watched my friend play it, and he got pretty much stuck very quickly and just gave up. And that was the end of it. And I'm the same with games. Like if I get stuck within the first 10 minutes, I don't know where to go, chances are I'm not going to play it, you know? So yeah, The Matrix, even though it's interesting because the Wachowskis, they actually directed the game as well. So they directed the movies and the game as well, but the game was terrible. This one, I honestly don't know anything about it. Obviously, you know, they have the technology on their side, and I guess they're going to try something, but I don't know anything about it. What about you?
This little thing is the demo. I don't know if it's for a game right now or if it's just the demo, or because, you know, there's sometimes demos like PT, complete demo of a game that never came out. But this one, I don't know, again, if it's for a game or not. But right now they're calling it an experience. So other than that, personally, I have it. But again, I haven't played it. But from what I hear, it's just a bunch of... It looks like, from what I hear, it looks fantastic, but it doesn't really have any depth to it. So it's just a glorified like demo, basically, literally a demo for graphic, the Unreal 5 engine of like, oh, this is what we could do with it, type of thing. So, but other than that, I don't really think that there's anything behind it other than looking fancy, sounding good, and being like, oh, we have the facial capabilities of making the characters look like the characters now. Okay.
The game that came out in the early 2000s, right? Enter the Matrix. If I'm not mistaken, it was obviously using some Matrix elements, like I guess bullet time. And at the time, many games were trying to mimic that. I know there was Max Payne, and there was Blood Rain that also kind of went into this slow motion mode where you could hack the Nazis. But I don't know. For me, it just didn't really. It didn't really work. It obviously didn't really take off because games since haven't really used that technique much. So I really don't know where they're going with this.
This personal experience demo, there you got to give me more, basically, to it.
Well, looks like it's bon voyage to our old pals Cuphead, Bugman, and the lovely Miss Chalice. They're off on their next adventure, this time to the fabled DLC Island. What challenges await in this enchanted land? What better way to explore the island than with a leisurely climb into the mountains? Just remember to watch your step. Or perhaps the icy tundra is more to your liking. Don't forget to pack your mittens. Look out for the walloping winter whale. Next stop, the dramatic Western Plains under the watchful eye of Sheriff Winchester. Yee-haw! But what's this? Why, it's Chef Saltbaker with his famous cookies. He's the best baker in the land. His cookies are sure to put some pep in your step. Oh! And you'll need it. For there's a new challenge waiting around every corner on the amazing DLC Island.
So next is Cuphead. And it's actually a DLC, or I think, yeah, it is a DLC. It's not the next Cuphead, it's the DLC with the Cuphead. So Cuphead looks great, sounds great. Animation style is amazing, I have to say. And it's balls to the wall hard. Like, damn hard. Like, but it's all for a melee. Like, there's patterns. And that's the greatest thing. It's like, it reminds me of an old school Mega Man game back on the NES, basically. Because, when you first play it, you're like, what the hell am I doing? But once you play it like a few times, you're like, there's, how if I do this? And then you notice patterns. And it really reminds me of those days. So once you actually get patterns down, you're like, oh, cool. You just do this and this and this. And then things just fall into place and you're like, oh. But I have to say, the style, like, I really like the style. Like, it reminds me of like a 1930s, 40s cartoon. And just how they made it. Like, the fluid animation, like, it's beautiful. Like, it came out, the music from that era also, like, it's like they nailed it perfectly. Not just about the real game. Like, this DLC is just more of that, and that's perfect. That's what DLC should be. I think it's a brilliant move. Like, instead of making a complete new game like some people do and be calling it, oh, Cuphead 2. No, let's just do DLC.
All I can say is that I do like the style as well. Definitely cartoony. Very, very fluid, yeah, like you said. And I don't have it, but I might be interested. What about like the age range, would you say? Is it kind of like for teenagers, or is it obviously not for like old people? But like what age range do you think is good for?
Definitely not kids, because kids probably won't comprehend it. Teens might get it, but they might get frustrated because of attention spans these days. Be like, oh, well, this is too hard, so throw it up. Maybe like the early 20 range onwards, like 20 to 30. I'd say people who've experienced like in like my age range, like have grown up with the NES, the Super Nintendo, the ones where you have to go and we didn't have guides or internet back then where we had to actually go through the game like hundreds of times to get the feel of games. And that's the thing. It's like, and that's what about Cuphead is you can read guides up the yin yang, but the thing is, it's all about experience. You got to keep on doing it over and over and over to kind of get the feel of the game.
I'm potentially interested in getting it. Are you interested about this DLC?
Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it!
Over here! It's too dangerous.
Sonic Frontiers. Okay. So again, Sonic, there's a lot of Sonic games out there. Sega Genesis kind of was revolutionary at the time. I think it was called blast processing, if I'm not confusing the terms. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called.
Very correct, yes. Sega with their blast processing.
So anyway, yeah. My worry about the Sonic games is that when it went into the 3D territory, it became really kind of hit and miss. I played some of them which were like kind of very disorienting, and when you're accelerating in one direction, it starts to go in a different direction, and it just becomes a mess. I don't know. What's your opinion?
Oh, I have a few choice words. I totally agree. The 2D games, fantastic, perfect, like great, great, great platformers. When it get into 3D, very hit and miss. Like you got Sonic Adventures, great. Sonic 2 Adventures, good, awesome. When you get into like the Sonic reboot, which is Infamous 2006, everyone's punching bag basically of it is god awful. But there's a lot of other ones in between where they're like decent enough. Like personally, like I actually tried to get into Sonic Unleashed this year, and I just couldn't because it was like like it just wasn't there. Like it like I. But then again, I played what is it, Sonic Mania, which is pretty much a homage to the early Sonic games, which is side scrollings, and that was just beautiful. And Sonic Mania was done by fans. It was a Sega licensed fan game basically. And I really, really hope that, some of these companies in the past, definitely, especially Konami, open their windows to other studios, possibly even, professional fan studios to resurrect some of these franchises that haven't been touched in like years, maybe even decades. So there's that. But, again, we're talking about Sonic Frontier here, open world. So it'd be interesting to kind of see what an open world Sonic game is. Other than that, they're again a cinematic trailer, not too much to go on.
And one last thing about Sonic is that they recently made a live action film. Now, I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
Good. Good. It's good. It's not great, but I have to say it's one of the better video game movies out there because they took the source material, and there was the whole controversy of like how Sonic looked back in when they first revealed, and I'm really glad that the studio or producers or whoever's behind it took that fan feedback and changed his appearance because he looked god awful at the beginning, and then he actually looked like actual Sonic and decent. It is a Western movie, so it has a lot of Western type of feel with that goofy goofball humor to it here and there, and there's a lot of it's almost like a little there's a little like buddy cop type feel to it in it. I have to say Jim Carrey as Eggman was fantastic. I can't wait to see actually the sequel that's coming out soon. I think next year sometime. Because more Eggman is absolutely great. Oh, I guess he's called Robotnik. Oh, doesn't matter. Same character. But he was great in it. And Sonic himself was like, he was Sonic. He that's pretty much it is. Like from the old cartoons to what you actually got from the games. He was there. So I have to say, the first movie, definitely worth a viewing at least once, I have to say.
I'll check it out. I'm curious. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, so next one, we're not sure about the title, but maybe it's Slitherhead or Slitherhead. I don't know. It depends on the interpretation, I guess. I personally don't have much to say about it. It just looks to me kind of like Resident Evil. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
But it's by the Silent Hill people. I think it's one of the creators of Silent Hill. We got the score, the music by good old Akira, who did basically everything Silent Hill, basically, except for I think Downpour he didn't do. Did you down? I don't know, but he did like everything compared, even like the ones that were after four, the bad Silent Hill games. But nevertheless, hell, even the movies were done by him. Oh my God, sir. Anyway, sorry, I'm gonna go on a tangent of Silent Hill because I am hoping that this has the feel, the soul of Silent Hill in it because it has the original creators. We're talking Team Silent back in the day. Core there. So hopefully it has the core. It definitely looks like it because it has the grotesque monsters in it. The setting is obviously in Japan. I don't know. It looks kind of like an older type, like maybe even during the 80s or even 90s. It doesn't look modern-ish. So that might be interesting to kind of do. Other than that, I pray to God, I hope they have the storytelling there. Because Silent Hill and its storytelling, and you gotta like look beneath what you see. Like you gotta dig. You gotta dig, you gotta uncover stuff. And you might not even like get it through the first, second, third time playing it. And you're like, wow, you're finding this new stuff. I hope they have the storytelling. then like I said, narrative. The narrative, I'm hoping, like I'm really hoping that they have it there. I really hope the soundtrack is good by Akira. Like I really hope he's like on track and doing his industrial, atmospheric, like messed up type of soundtrack. And the art design, I have to say, but I think the guy who did actually the original one, I think the second one also, is definitely there because they showed like obviously monster designs, and the monster designs look to be on key to be like, and I hope they actually have some meaning behind the character because that's what usually Silent Hill has. Like the monsters connect to some character, not like always the main character, but some character. Like the first one was Alyssa, second was obviously James, third one was obviously Heather, and the fourth one was actually Walter, and not good old bland bland Henry, but still, there's a connection between the monsters you're seeing and a character in the game. Hopefully they continue that, even though that's kind of Silent Hill's thing. I hope they actually kind of bring it into that. My hopes are really high on this one, but I'm not getting myself too hyped because I'm like I really hope because the last project they actually I think worked on was Siren, and Siren was lukewarm for me.
For me, like the only thing I have to say about this one is, okay, so like Silent Hill, I think there was a moment in the third game where I forgot. Oh yeah, it was Vincent, I think. So yeah, Heather is talking to Vincent in this library, and she's basically telling him, "Hey, I'm going around and I'm chased by these monsters. I'm killing these monsters." And he tells her, "Wait, do you see them as monsters?" And that was like kind of a wow moment. Like they maybe they are not.
That's the thing. You look like that, and you're like, "Oh, these are monsters." But the thing is, when he said that, you're like, "Wait a second. Wait, are we killing people?" Like that's like a moment where you're like, "Whoa." And I like a lot of those moments. Like I want more of those moments where you're like, it makes you think. Like, am I really doing this? Not.
Who are you, child?
My name is Frey Holland. I do not know how I got here. And all I want is to go home.
She is hell's spawn. How else did she survive in the corruption?
The people are afraid. They look to me in the council for hope that we cannot give them. But maybe you can.
Wherever I go turns to shit. It's always been this way.
Athia's all but lost. Everything that corruption touches.
It breaks. Yeah, I saw it up close.
It is you who trespassed on my land. You who set this battle in motion.
How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Lies! She dies!
So the next one is Forspoken. Square is back in the lineup with Forspoken, and I don't know if they have a. I don't know if it probably is a another studio doing it, and then Square's probably releasing it. Because this is definitely not what Square usually puts out. So I'm pretty sure there's like I look into it a little bit more, but other than that, it is your typical modern day person going into traditional times. So it's like this girl goes into traditional times, being like, "Hey, that's weird. That's weird. You don't you that is totally weird." And the narrative, I'm very going to be, I'm very cautious on because it's a hit and miss on the whole. What is the word isekai? Like, the whole that's the genre isekai type of thing where it's like, oh, you taking someone from modern times and putting him in a totally different world. So again, very hit and miss. And other than this, visually it looks astounding. The gameplay reminds me of Journey, if anything, because they actually showed gameplay. They showed like a lot of like flowing through the like she's almost on skates basically, flowing through type of things. So it reminds me definitely of Journey like that. Other than that, again, I really hope it has a good narrative because if it doesn't have a good narrative, Square again hit and miss with the narrative because they do some really awesome good RPGs, but there's really some really bad ones also. So again, especially lately, modern Square, I don't know about it. Traditional Square, I would say yeah, that'd be good, but modern Square, I don't know, like hit and miss. So I really hope they get the narrative part of it. I hope they have good world building in it. Decent soundtrack would be good. But other than that, it looks pretty good. Uh, Voice acting looks good. Uh, and if it's even if it has a little bit more artistic thing like Journey had, would be good.
Ever since the day the portal network collapsed, stranding us in these realms, we have searched for a way home.
Lost and alone in the dangerous labyrinth of fantastical worlds. Welcome to the lands of Fae.
Every portal is a chance for salvation. Uniting the lost survivors. Or leading us deeper into this nightmare. Nightingale, our beacon of hope. But beyond our reach. As long as we stand together, our journey will unite us.
You, the Realm Walkers, are all that is left.
All right, so next one we have Nightingale, and personally I don't have much to say about it. So from what I see from the trailer, I could be completely wrong about that, but it looks to me like a kind of weird co-op shooter, but and with a bit of steampunk mixed with it. But I don't know anything about it, so please tell us more.
Okay, so from what I gather, I didn't really do too much research, but from what I get, yeah, definitely has a steampunk feel. It is looks like a first person shooter, and it definitely looks like some kind of base building type of maybe. And the thing is that I've been playing a lot of Fallout 4 right now, and just switch steampunk with post-apocalyptic, and it's literally almost kind of feels like it would be kind of like a Fallout 4 type thing. And obviously not by Bethesda, but again, I'm thinking, hey, And just the world, that this is the thing, is the world really kind of took me in when I was watching it, and even when I was looking at originally when I was watching it live, it stuck out to me, and that's why I wanted to be this, like, it's just something about the world that kind of being like, I kind of want to give that a go. And obviously there's I guess teams, so you can bring someone else in to bring along that, and I've been wanting to kind of do that. But the thing is, I really, really, really hope that it's not just team based. Like there is an actual single player to it also, because I hate when companies like, oh, we're bringing out this great game that has team based, but it's only team based, and it's like, oh, like, why can't we do just a single player and go through the game in single player, and if you want to bring in people, you bring in people type of things. So because steampunk has been really, you know has a real vivid imagination in like trinkets and weaponry. So if they really bring it out into be like, oh well, let's have a weird steam powered gun of some sort, it's good. Like, again, world building. If they do good world building and also throw a good narrative into it, and not have like, oh, and single player's got to be good, and then narrative, and then if it has a good world to it.
For me, it will be one of those games where I guess it's going to be on Steam, right? Although I didn't find it yet, but maybe.
I think it's going to be on like all the like PS5 and Series X and PC and something.
Yeah, so for me, like, it would be one of the games where I would basically wait for the reviews, see what people say about it. If people say it's good, I'll check it out. If people say it's not good, then it will be a skip. And I have a lot on my list, so no time to waste.
Don't let them see us, precious. They'll find us. They'll see us. Nasty, filthy oxes! Kill them! No, we must hide. We can't let them get their nasty, filthy handses on our precious.
Okay, so the next is Lord of the Rings, Gollum, which for me, I don't have too much to say about it because I've been burnt out for Lord of the Rings since the original trilogy. So, other than that, again, hit and miss with Lord of the Rings. Some of the games were good, some of the games weren't. So hopefully this one, obviously, it deals with Gollum and probably his journey. So if it's more of kind of adventure-y, that'd be great. But again, not too much to go on. But I don't have a lot to say. But hey, you do. So let's hear your opinion.
So yeah, I played a few Lord of the Rings games. I played some of the Lego games, which again we already talked about that. I don't want to mention it again and again, but Lego games are essentially all the same. It's just, yeah, you have different characters, different powers, but it's just essentially it's the same thing. And I played some of them which were based on the original trilogy, which were action games, but I'm not a big fan of hack and slash personally. I know that some people like it, and that's fine. I'm not trying to criticize or whatever. It's just not my cup of tea. Was it done well? Yes, but that's a pretty low bar, really. From this one, I get the feeling that this might be a more kind of thief game where you have to use stealth more because obviously it's Gollum, he's weak and pathetic. he's not gonna, take on the entire orc armies. I can't see it happening. So I'm seeing it more kind of a stealth game, and that means it could be interesting, but it really depends on what they do. And apart from the apart from the trailer, I don't have much to go on about. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
The king has gone insane.
He is a proponent of a theory called animal magnetism.
He's capable of anything.
This automatus masterpiece. It could do much more than dance.
Angel of death, descended from the heavens to vanquish the clockwork tyrant. You're just as they described. These machines feed on the dead. The greater the massacre, the deeper the river where they slake their thirst.
Okay, so the last one we're going to cover today is Steel Rising, and it's kind of interesting because we already kind of talked about it. We already talked about the steampunk in Nightingale, and this obviously also has a lot of steampunk elements in it.
It's different. It's the same, like steampunk type feel, but it feels different.
Yeah, it feels very different. For me, like, it really reminds me of Dishonored, which I like Dishonored. Okay, the second, I'm not sure like which one I prefer, the first or the second one. The second one was definitely more gruesome, but the first one, I don't know, it's kind of a classic in its own way. Again, you're kind of using stealth a lot, but if you want to go all out, you can do that. So if you want to use stealth, use stealth. This one, to me, it looks kind of like that. It's a world that uses machines, uses robots. It looks like in the trailers there's some kind of robot assassin or something like that. So I don't know, it could be interesting, but I'm waiting again for reviews and what people think about it. I usually go off reviews a lot personally, but I don't know. What's your opinion?
Well, one is I like to know who we're playing. Are we playing as the humans or are we playing as the robots? So that's first of all kind of like what I actually want to know, because if we're playing as the robots, it might actually throw into type of things where it has Detroit type of thing where it's like, oh, are these robots being used for minuscule tasks, basically slave labor type of thing, or are they, is there some more bigger question here? That's the thing. So obviously the trailer brings a lot of questions into it of like, what exactly is this world involve in the robots? Obviously there's people and there's robots, and they're looking kind of like majestic in it and possibly doing like human tasks and all that. So maybe again, you can get into the nitty gritty of like, oh, where'd the robots come from, how they were made, and now so forth and all that. But the thing is, it's more of even a moral thing of like, oh, how we treating them, or is again, who we playing as? Are we playing as the robots or the humans, or maybe both? That's the thing, depending on what it is. You remember stuff like movies, games, or something. Usually from the story or the characters. Like you have memorable characters, you remember that character. That's the thing. Story here and there, but the thing is, you got to have good characters, and the thing is, the message, if there's a message, like there's one of those, political message or a social message or whatever, one, it is going to be dated, definitely, if you put messages in like that, because it is of the times, and I hate to if I offend anyone, but it is of the times. If you put messages in that, it will show. Just like if there's stuff back happened in the 70s, movies from the 70s had 70s type of messages, or the 60s had 60s type of like very war heavy messages, and the 70s you got like peace and all that type of thing. So you got the times, and obviously these days it's about social messages and political messages, and it's like cool, but let's just make a good story, because we want to take, if you play video games, you don't want to hear about, because you just turn on the news and you hear a bunch of that stuff. We're playing video games to get out of the world.
I just want to plug in my book one more time, because it's important, actually. Because my father and my mother both read it. They both loved it. I do great stuff, by the way. Check it out. But it was interesting because my father said that in my book there were kind of too many technical things. Like, I mentioned, for example, how much pressure there is at a certain depth in the ocean, etc. But I just mentioned it once. It's not like I mentioned it again and again and again. No, it was just mentioned once, just to make it clear to people that I have an idea what I'm talking about. It's not just something I pulled out of my ass, So my father thought that, but my mother, who read it, and I also told her, well, my dad, he thinks it's a bit too technical. She said, no, it's not. You're showing that you know the material and you did your research, basically, and that's good. Okay, so now we're gonna wrap the video today by mentioning our top 3 games that we played this year. So just to make sure, it's not games that came out this year, it's just games that we played this year. So I'll go first and then we'll do a back and forth. So the first one I'll mention, which I played this year, and it's actually, I believe it's a re-release on modern systems, which is Beneath a Still Sky. The original one was released in '94, so again, it's a retro game. What I like about it is, it's just this kind of dystopian universe, and it always throws some kind of random thing. It's kind of a puzzle game, and it might be a bit difficult, I would say. Definitely without a walkthrough, it might be a bit tricky. And I'm quite good at that. So I'm not saying like I'm too stupid to understand it or something like that. No, not at all. I'm pretty good at these point and click adventure games, but it is a bit tricky, I would say. So if you want to enjoy it and not suddenly find yourself stuck somewhere, because that is possible, and then you have to go back from the beginning. So if you don't want to do that, definitely use a walkthrough. But Beneath the Still Sky, check it out. And they actually released a sequel to it, which I have, but I haven't played yet. So I'm really curious what they did with it.
I don't know, put something here that says Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remastered. But I'm going to sum up all the Pixel Remastered. I played 4 first, then 5, and then 1, 2, and 3. And note is that this is the first time I have beaten number 2 and 3, because until this time I've actually played them, but I haven't beaten them. But what can I say about the Pixel Remaster other than they're good? They really remind, especially 4 and 5, definitely remind me of playing like literally this version here on the Super Nintendo. And again, I have an ending reaction of 4 and 5 coming out, so more opinions on that, but I'll try to keep it brief. Is that pure nostalgia? Like when I was playing 4, I kept on being like, "Oh my god, I felt giddy." Like this really felt throughout like the ports and the remakes of Final Fantasy IV. It was fantastic. Just kind of going down pixeled. Again, I really wish they had the original soundtrack to it. And then I would be like, this is the perfect version of Final Fantasy IV.
My second one is Little Nightmares. It's on Steam. There's 2 of them out there right now. It's very interesting because it is essentially similar games. They're obviously sequels, but they're not the same at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain. You're doing not quite the same things, and in the second one, it was very kind of confusing story. I honestly didn't really get it. I probably should read about it more, but I didn't really get it. I think it was some kind of weird like transformation of the main character. I don't want to spoil it too much either. But it was basically some kind of weird transformation of the main character who kind of becomes evil because he was not, you know, like respected by the other character. So it's kind of like you become a reject, right? Like you're trying your best to please somebody, and we've all been there in life, you know. We've all tried to please somebody, and at the end of the day, they just kind of throw you out like nothing happened between you. So that's very strange, and I don't know. That's what I got from it. I could be wrong. There's obviously many interpretations of it. If they do a third one, I honestly don't know which way they're gonna go, because are they gonna continue the girl's story, or are they gonna continue the guy's story, the boy's story? I don't know. But anyway, great game, available on Steam. Check it out.
My second one, I've been kind of going back and forth with number one for number two, one or two for a little bit, but I'll throw this one. Number two is Persona 5 Strikers, the sequel to Persona 5. We're talking original one because there's the Royal version out there. This one does not cover any of the Royal edition. This comes with the original one. So this is just a lot more of Persona 5. So, but the thing is that this one is a Muso game or a Warriors game instead of a RPG. So all throughout this game, I was kind of saying, hey, why can't this be an RPG? It'd be so much better other than just, going around hacking and slashing like 100 enemies, going through the mobs. But overall, it was a little difficult at the beginning because you are encountered by hundreds of enemies and you can get killed quite easily. But as you get to like the halfway mark and over, it just gets relatively easy. And yes, you can switch the difficulty in this, but the thing is, I just want to get through the game. Beautiful game. I just wish it was an RPG instead of a Muso game. So, other than that, great. It's actually on PS4. It's on Switch, which I recommend not getting because the frame rate is horrible on the Switch. This one is a lot better. And it's just on, I think, Steam? It's on Steam. I think it's on Steam. I think it's on GOG also. And I have an ending reaction for this also on my channel.
All right, so my first one, unfortunately I don't have any physical copies because it's all on Steam, but and this is Mavlov Total Eclipse. This is anime, but there is a game called Mavlov as well. It's a quadrilogy, if that's an English word. I think it is. Basically,
it is.
You get the original trilogy, which is Extra, Unlimited, and Alternative, and then they made a fourth one, which they kind of broke up into episodes, which a lot of people were outraged about because it's like, come on, we just want the game, not separate episodes, which of course they charge you for each episode. So that's a big problem. I haven't played the latest one because it's on, what do you call it, Windows 10, and I'm mostly sitting on Windows 7 still. Can't really switch between the two, so I can't comment on the latest one, but the original trilogy is amazing. It's a visual novel game, so yeah, you'll be reading a lot. There are some decisions from time to time, so you have to click, one choice, which goes separate routes. But I think they actually kind of removed that as the game moved on. They actually got rid of that. It's just, you're basically just reading one story. But look, it's a great story. The first one is actually more Japanese high school college story. which I would say is not amazing, but if you want to just get a feel of their daily lives and just regular life in Japan, it's great. And then the second and the third ones, they add it. They go into this kind of sci-fi mode, and you got your mechs and the relationships between the characters are much more developed. And yeah, I mean, the endings are basically you explore. There are basically the main character is the guy, right? So the guy Takeru, and the others are all female characters. So you can pick different endings for the each different female character. So then it's up to you. It's whichever you choose to be your waifu, as we say. But
Oh, good old waifus, yes.
But yeah, I mean, you pick your favorite character, you go with it. You know, the only thing I would say though is that the ending of the second trilogy is a bit. I don't know. Like you can pick your different characters, but it seems to me that overall there's not that much difference between them. Whereas in the third one, there is much more of that. So I would say to get the feel of the characters, yeah, go with it. But definitely the third one is the one that hits home. And in fact, if you're curious, there are many anime series based on it. The first one, it's out of order. So the first one was Mavlav Schwarzes Marken, which takes place in the alternative universe in the 80s in Germany, which is really interesting because for people who know a bit of history, in the 80s, Germany was under Soviet occupation. And obviously, there's this whole communist versus capitalist thing going on, which is I found really interesting. I know some people didn't like it, but when I read the comments, I'm sorry kind of to go on about it for a bit, but you know, that's the one I really enjoy. So what I get from the comments is that people complain that, okay, yeah, we have this massive alien invasion of the planet Earth, and instead of people uniting and facing the threat, what do people do? They bicker about politics and about regional conflicts. But I'm like, yeah, but that's what people do. That's what people do. Yeah, I would like to be all united about conflicts, but unfortunately, that doesn't happen. Then they did this one, so Mavlav Total Eclipse, which again people didn't like, kind of for the same reason. But I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece, but it's pretty good. And of course, Mavlav Alternative, which is they just released it this year. I liked it. They obviously stuck pretty close to the game, which for me was important. But they also added certain parts which were not explained in the game too much. Anyway, Mavlav, huge universe. I think in terms of gameplay, it's well over 100 hours. So if you like reading, if you like visual novels, then that's for you. So now, finally, your turn.
That's it. Holy cow. So yeah. So we're gonna go with my number one. Gotta love this, and it's gonna be a fake out. Let's go with Honey Bop 2. No, absolutely not. No. Although I have to say it's decent, nevertheless. But nevertheless, that was actually on my list. But my first number one is Metroid Dread. Fantastic game. Metroid is back, baby. This is 2D, not 3D. It's a 2D. I guess Metroidvania game, because hence Metroid in the game. So obviously, it's where it came from. Personally, I have to say it's been too long since a Metroid game came out, and a lot of people, including myself, just were dying for a decent Metroid game. And everyone saw this at, I think, one of the E3s, and everyone exploded, including myself. And oh my god, like I really was like, be good, and it delivers. It is what it is. It's a Metroid game. You go around, you collect items, and you go through traversing things, and you just go through it the fastest you can. And the replayability is fantastic. I've at least 20, 30, 40 times already through this game. And it has still ability. It's not as good as Super Metroid, but that's personal opinion. But it definitely has. And but the thing is, it has a bit of a story to it also, because a lot of Metroid games in the past very very light on the story. This one throws story in it, but also has the best of both worlds, like the original gameplay feeling of Metroid in the past with like the story elements of future Metroids, basically the newer Metroids. So, but the like I've had the most fun with this in like a while, and that's number one for me right here. And again, it's only on Switch because it's a Nintendo property, and Nintendo it likes to be a little shifty about their properties. So only Nintendo Switch has this, and yeah, that's my number one right there.
All right. So just before we wrap up, I just had an idea, just to kind of project into the future a little bit, because that's important. I just want to limit it to one, not three, just one. There's one game I want to know which you're looking forward to, and that would be it's kind of difficult because I honestly it's a hard one for me personally, and I don't know the status of it whatsoever. I don't know the development stage, but personally, I'm looking forward to Mass Effect. But again, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know at what stage they're at. Is it just kind of very early pre-production? Is it? I'm pretty sure it's not production yet. So yeah, but definitely I'm looking forward to it. I know that they're bringing back the original team on it, which is like thank God, because Andromeda was a disaster. I don't care what people say. It was a disaster, a train wreck. The characters are very boring and bland. Everything that made the original trilogy great, this was just a total catastrophe, really. Andromeda, I mean. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. I don't know if it will be Mass Effect 4 or whatever with the name, but anyway, I'm looking forward to it. How about you?
For me, trying to sum up the ones. Probably the most recent one that I kind of am very looking forward to, that is actually coming out in February, is and I was really kind of on the fence because it is on PS4, but you kind of want to get it on PS5, and at the time I didn't have a PS5, but now I do. Is Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West. And I'm really hoping that they don't screw it up, basically, because the first one, beautiful. Oh my god, beautiful, beautiful game. And again, characters, world building, and gameplay, like beautiful, all around. Voice acting, hit and miss, but still beautiful, beautiful stuff. And I really hope the sequel to it just does more of the same. It's a severe post-apocalyptic world because you discover like future technology is old technology in their time. So I just hope we see more of that world and more mechanical monstrosities that you get to blow up.
I know that you did recommend the first one. I still haven't played it. The only thing I will say though is that I believe, and I haven't seen it live, I haven't watched it live, but I did hear that during the Game Awards there was performance, a music performance, I guess before or during the trailer of Zero Dawn, which was by Julie Elvin, and she's actually my friend on Facebook, so big shout out to her. She's an amazing singer, by the way. Just I'm very glad she's getting a lot of work right now because, yeah.
It was a good performance. Very good. Yeah. One of the highlights. Actually, that was the music production of the Game Awards was probably one of the highlights because it was good.
Well, there you go. I think we kind of went through everything and more. So I think we'll finish it here for today. Obviously, I look forward in the new year to make more videos with you. I know we've been planning it for a while, but it just hasn't happened.
It's been what, a year or two in the making, after at least. So definitely we'll get into it, and we'll get more into just talking head videos about stuff, maybe, and then maybe even a few playthroughs, maybe, or something like that. We'll talk about it.
All right. Hope you enjoyed the video. OtakuOps signing off. I'll see you around.
Farewell and good night, and stay safe.